Hello, welcome to 5 Minute Lore. Today we'll be discussing the moons of Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah, you heard me right, the moons. I know what you're thinking. What could possibly be interesting enough about these to warrant a video? Well, I think the different interpretations of them are interesting, and the way they can affect the mortal world certainly is as well. I mean, this is Warhammer after all. You can't just expect a normal moon. The two moons of the Warhammer world are known as Morrslieb and Mannslieb in Reichsspiel. Morrslieb is the big evil green one. Its name means beloved of Mor, the human god of death. Mannslieb means beloved of Manan. Manan is the god of the sea, so calling Mannslieb his beloved could be a reference to the moon's effect on the ocean's tides. Mannslieb is much more average in appearance than its sister moon, being a normal big space rock. It operates under a 25-day cycle from one full phase to another, while Mannslieb on its own isn't too interesting. The way the cultures of Warhammer's world interpret it certainly is. The Cathayans called Mannslieb Yu Yin, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, and claim that the Moon Empress came from the moon.
Thus the name.
They say she was the last of her race, so she left the moon and met the Celestial Dragon Emperor and taught him her shape-shifting magic. You know, I recall my uncle saying something about shape-shifting aliens from the moon stealing his gnomes. Maybe he was onto something there. Moving on from my strange family, Nahekarns know Mannslieb is the goddess of protection Neru, the wife of Patra, the god of the sun. Games Workshop wasn't very subtle with the inspiration this time around, huh? PT Ra, Patra. For some reason, Neru is always running from Patra, which causes the day and night cycle of the world. Sekhmet is the goddess representing Morrslieb, known as the Great Witch and concubine to Patra. She envies Neru and humanity for receiving Patra's love and constantly fights Neru for control over the skies. Neru normally comes out on top, but there are 2 days of the year where Sekhmet always wins, which we'll talk about later on. I have no idea how Neru avoids her husband and fights Sekhmet. Maybe ask Kateb about that one. Lilith is the high elf goddess of the moon, innocence, and mercy. Even though I'm not too fond of elves, I gotta admit she's a pretty cool goddess. She goes out of her way to gift worthy mortals magical items. She gave Teclis his magical staff, and I love Teclis, so that's a point in her favor. She gave Aleth Anar his bow. You know, that high elf nobody plays in Total War Warhammer. Lilith isn't just a good gift giver though. She also blesses elven mages and forgives elves of their sins on behalf of the other elven gods. In the horrible end times, Lilith does a complete 180 and is a manipulative jerk who is also secretly the Lady of the Lake because she wanted to create a kingdom to protect the elves. The end times stink. So let's move on from Mannslieb and talk about the big, mean, and green moon, Morrslieb. Morrslieb is green for a reason. It's made of warpstone. Warpstone is bad news. It's basically chaos energy and glowing green crystals. Because Morrslieb has warp properties, it doesn't have any real cycle. It just appears when it wants to. When it does appear, it's bad news though. The line between the reality and warp gets blurrier and dark magic becomes much more powerful. As a result, it's common to see massive undead hordes, beastmen incursions, and chaos invasions under the gaze of Morrslieb. Not only does it herald the arrival of horrors such as those, but it also results in mass mutations and insanity in the masses. At least the moon isn't personally trying to kill you, but it's still pretty terrifying despite that. There are 2 nights a year where Morrslieb is guaranteed to shine, Hexennacht and Geheimnisnacht. Those are our equivalents of New Year and Halloween. During those nights, Imperial citizens stay indoors, give respect to Mor, and hope their witch hunters are doing their jobs right. Geheimnisnacht isn't always the same day, but the mortals work hard to try to predict when it will be yearly to prepare for the dark incursions. So, remember how the Moon Empress came from Mannslieb? Well, she's not the only moon alien. During one unfortunate Geheimnisnacht, a comet crashed from Morrslieb onto the world. A twisted, disgusting beastman lookalike stepped out of the egg of pure warpstone. It will be known as Moonclaw. Ever since his birth, he's been traveling the world working to destroy the waystones of the world. Beastmen worship him in droves, considering him a demigod of sorts. Moonclaw's power wanes with his dark moon, fitting considering he's its child. Moonclaw utilizes the lore of beasts and shadows in battle. He's also super insane, and this insanity is contagious. If I had a quarter for every moon alien in Warhammer, I'd have 2 quarters, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Morrslieb also has an important role in Skaven religion, which shouldn't be too much of a shocker considering it's made of warpstone. The Skaven call it Morskrit and think warpstone meteors from the sky are gifts from the Great Horned Rat. Morskrit also plays a role in the holiday of Vermintide to the Skaven. The holiday isn't as nefarious as the Vermintide games would have you think though. The Skaven just come together for a nice feast. During the horrible end times, the Skaven clan Scryer blew up Morskrit in an attempt to destroy the Lizardmen. This, of course, would have awful consequences for the world. Luckily, Lord Mazdamundi and the remaining Slan managed to stop most of the chunks of the moon and minimize the damage and stop the world from flooding because of the loss of the entire Lustrian continent. Even if they're goofy looking, Slan are some seriously awesome toads. Be'lakor claims he ruled Morrslieb as a god, but I think he's full of it and just trying to look cool. I mean, he's not exactly the best source considering he's a lord of deception and illusions. For any of my fellow Gabo fans wondering where the bad moon is, it's hinted it's not actually Morrslieb because the bad moon itself is found in the realms of chaos. I had a lot of fun doing the research for this video. It involved a lot of reading, going through different books and checking it out. Very fun stuff for me. I love to read this lore stuff and share it. But that said, I did have a lot of technical difficulties, so this video was kind of a pain in the butt to make, and I'm sorry that it came out so late. I'm trying to do 1 upload a week. Hopefully in the future I'll be able to stick to that. I also have a new series coming up about the minor gods of Warhammer. I'll still be releasing 5-minute lore videos, but those are going to be out alongside it, and they won't just be 5 minutes. They'll probably be between, I would like to say, 10 and 15 minutes per video. And hey, if you like this video, remember to jump further down the Warhammer rabbit hole.